And we're live in front of my Johnny Carson background. And I thought I would just do a quickie, which I never do quick live streams. Let's keep it real. But what the frack? I've been working all morning and I needed to get up and move my body and not listen to sirens. I'm waiting for you guys to come in because I know I hit public. So let's see if we get people coming in to the chat. We'll raise this up. Yes, we are live. We are live, all the way live. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about everything to do with keto and carnivore. I thought I would take some questions and bounce out of here. You're always first. Yeah, you are. You're on it. Brandon, what's up? Okay, guys. So, I just felt like standing. I thought I could sit down and do it on my StreamYards, but I was like, nah, I have been on my butt all day long. So here we have, look at this, right? Oh my God, so fabulous. It's grass-fed, freshly slaughtered. I know it sounds gruesome, that word, but let's face it. I have about 100 pounds of meat now because getting hooked up with local farms, ranches, freshly caught everything. Steph is up in the hizzy right now. You guys, please support your local farms. And that's what us people in the know are going to have to do if we want a nice, healthy supply of food. Okay? Because our food, what's up, Olga? Who's always so sweet to me. So, but I don't want to just talk about support your local farms, but more and more now you have to go and Google who's around you to get fresh food because there might be some problems coming around the corner. Now, with that said, especially living here in my favorite state of Cali. All right, so hey, Kari. All right. So let's talk about keto and carnivore. What's the difference? And low carb, high fat. Somebody was like, please talk about low carb, high fat, and I will as well. Danielle Smith, yes. So, or Daniel, I think it said. Now here's the thing. Low carb, high fat is for people who are still dependent on carbs because they might have hypoglycemia, and that comes from years of damage of not balancing your blood sugar. Also, it can come from drinking a little bit too alcohol, which allows people to become hypoglycemic and their blood sugar super unstable. It can be from just coming from the world of dieting and fasting, and people don't understand the world of fasting, how it can destabilize your blood sugar, or people eating a lot of carbohydrates and having insulin resistance, and they're having hypoglycemic reactions because they're insulin resistant. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So, some people will try keto because they go from like carbs to keto, and then they go through the keto flu, and then it becomes serious where it becomes keto flu and health damage to the body. And carnivore can be even worse. So people will go like, I tried keto, I had some success, I jumped off, and now I'm trying carnivore. So I get that a lot in my consultations. So you guys, I have opened up my entire calendar from the 17th of May on. I have opened. So instead of going to my calendar, contact me through the contact page on my site, which is stephanieperson.com, because until I'm switching my website over from one platform to another, because I don't like the old calendar. It's just a headache. But with that said, so you would go from low carb, high fat. So people would start off with the standard American diet. Then they would go over to the keto omnivore, and they're eating plants, and they're eating keto junk and products, and keto food porn, and then they might go from that over to carnivore. Now, a lot of people are still using carnivore to lose weight, and that's not how it works. And I saw it coming because people were going really, really high on protein with the ketogenic diet. And I'm like, what are you numbnuts doing? This is going to spike your blood sugar beyond measure to have this high protein. And all these gurus were saying, no, you can eat high protein. And then what did it do? It spiked people's blood sugar. exacerbating this whole hypoglycemia and thyroid issue. So then people go over and like, you're supposed to originally, yes, and magnesium, alcohol messes up your electrolytes, exactly, which I'm going to go into that. But I just kind of want to explain, there's like low carb, high fat, then there's keto omnivore, and there's keto carnivore. Now people are doing strict carnivore and high protein and eating, where's that big old thing of fresh grass-fed beef, right? Look at this. And they're eating like almost this a day, right? Yeah. How many pounds is this? It doesn't say. Because this is like straight from the ranch. Straight up, okay? So, this much meat a day? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So people start having problems with that because, the break, okay, let's start with keto omnivore before I go into carnivore. So the breakdown with the keto omnivore problems is that people were, what up? People were having issues with the vegetables, with cruciferous vegetables, with histamine response to the vegetables. They were doing like almond flours and cheese and just super inflamed, having candida explosion, and the carb cravings were going out of control. So then they would do cyclic ketogenic diet, which there's no such thing, or targeted, and all these stupid words come up because people couldn't stick to this protocol. And so then people would like jump off and they would gain weight and lose weight and all that. And then they would go over to, it didn't work for them ultimately to do a keto omnivore. But then some people started realizing, I felt a little bit better on keto, but I'm going to try this carnivore to see if I can lose the weight and, let's say, clear up my skin or get rid of my like digestive issues or whatever. And so they go over the carnivore and they got loose stool. They got loose Hershey squirts out the bunghole. They start to develop, and that's the first problem. Like, wait a minute, okay, my diarrhea, I'm having a lot of loose stool. Then people are going through the keto flu, right? They're having low energy, lethargy, they're tired. So then people are doing carnivore with coffee, okay. And then they do carnivore and fasting. And then and then the hair starts falling out. People started having thyroid issues. They're having adrenal issues, inverted cortisol. People are having hypoglycemic symptoms, sort of similar to what you'd find on keto. And then it's exacerbated on carnivore even more. And then rubber hits the road and they start to have kidney pain on carnivore, right? And then when they try to go off, they can't, right? Because now they didn't react to these foods before. Now they're super reacting to these foods. If they can like tiny little histamine response on carnivore, now it's a massive histamine response on carnivore. So these are the things about keto and carnivore and why people go to the three. So eating, what else? The sirens these days, right? I thought there was supposed to be less sirens. I guess stuff is going on in people's homes that the mainstream news ain't showing. There's stuff going on in people's homes. So freaking frustrating how many Amber Alerts have gone off now, and sirens. There's more sirens now, if you guys can hear them, than what I had before. Kind of frustrating. All right. So I'm going to get to these questions. So if you're having high potassium, so I'm going to answer some of these questions because they have to do with the subject. So people are having, now you can't say, why am I having high potassium on keto? Are you taking potassium supplements? What are you doing that would make your potassium high? Do you have a leaky gut? And then you take potassium supplement and then it's high? Because anything that's high, like B12 or potassium, it's not getting into the cell to be utilized. And then you start to have the same problems of having low potassium, which is the heart palps, or developing pernicious anemia but not absorbing your B12. Or people having high iron because they're not absorbing their iron. It's crazy. Y'all gotta be careful when you go from this diet to that diet, and then you do it all like wonky, like I'm gonna fast, right? I'm gonna intermittent fast, eat a bunch of freaking dairy, and especially on carnivore, start eating all these meats that they would never normally eat in excess, and then they start to develop all of these, I have high iron, high potassium, high B12. So, okay, so Del, it's great that you're eating high-fat meats, right? Because you can see here on that cut of meat, that's a lot of fat up in there, right? See that? That's a lot of fat. But even though you would have to eat a lot of protein to get to the fat, that's where the problem is. Because if you have an electrolyte issue, you're going to have a kidney issue. And that's what I see more and more on carnivore. And so people are like, where do you get that? Where do you get this information? Oh, there's just the people saying they got kidney problems now. That's all. You know, that's all. Chronic dehydration and kidney problems. Bought my Instapot today. Chicken breast is the first meat for broth. So if you're going to do chicken breast, do it for the potassium, and that's it. Otherwise, beef is going to be better than chicken for other nutrients within the broth itself. But red meat's going to have more potassium than chicken, just so you know. Chicken broth without the bones. I almost stepped on this big cut of meat. All right, so the things about carnivore is that you need to do a ketogenic version of carnivore by adding fats to your plate. Don't rely on the meat because you're going to have to raise that protein, which is going to be very difficult to create ketones when the blood sugar is high through too much protein. And that's where you start to get the thyroid and adrenal inversion and a bunch of other issues from having too much meat, trying to get access to that protein. You just have to eat small cuts of meat and then add fat, animal fat, to your plate to make it a ketogenic version of carnivore. And then we have the avivore, which is the avocado carnivore, where you're doing everything that's carnivore except for adding avocado for the potassium. And then we've got keto omnivore, which is plants like cruciferous. That's broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. We got greens, but you gotta be careful of them. They got some little funky stuff in there, like, you know, with like your kale and whatnot. Some anti-nutrients up in there, and those would be your main vegetables on keto omnivore. But you might add green beans. They all have issues, but green beans, mushrooms if you don't have a candida freaking explosion coming out of your body. Thoughts on meat fried in lard? Yeah, great. I cook my meats with tallow. So I use bison tallow because I like bison tallow, and also butter. So up in there, boom. Now I don't count the fat that's actually in a pan. I count what's on the plate, especially these days when I'm using my air fryer. Boom, boom, boom. Add it to your plate by at least 3 tablespoons of fat. And I was on the Dr. Oz show, and they were like, how do you make it really simple? And I was like, oh, the rule of 3. They're like, oh, we love that. So fabulous. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, 3 tablespoons and 3 ounces. Now that 3 ounces would be for women, but 3 tablespoons of fat is 45 grams of fat per main meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's how you get in, like, broth. You can have like a thermos. Where's mine? A thermos with meat broth, and not bone, but meat broth for the potassium, especially because bone broth has glutamate and it also has oxalates in it. So for those who've got oxalate sensitivity, and then the glutamate is quite, oh, thank you, Dell. You don't have to do that. But thank you who donates to the super chat, who writes, could not eat pork without acne, but now I can. Any thoughts? So you might have healed that gut wall, Dell. Yes, so when you have a sensitivity to foods, you have an open gut wall in your small intestinal wall. Once that wall is open, it's permeable. Things can go into the bloodstream. And then the body, I've mentioned this many times, the body attacks itself because it doesn't, like in nature, you would never have leaky gut ever. And we drink alcohol and drink coffee. We have like antibiotics and birth control pills and all these things that ruin the gut wall. Does avocados detoxify the liver like broccoli does? No. And I wouldn't say that broccoli necessarily detoxifies. It's the cruciferous vegetable thing. It's supposed to help this, you know, sort of like women get a lot of people get a lot of estrogen caught up in the liver, which makes it thick and it's hard. The liver enzymes increase and it's hard for the liver to do its filtration job. And so broccoli is supposed to help detoxify that liver from the estrogen buildup. But I don't think avocados do. There's milk thistle for the short term, but really just changing your diet and pooping will help you eliminate that estrogen. I'm just saying. So, what else do we got going on here? You guys, for me, it's been a process to learn everything. I mean, if you go back to my video catalog, you can see me and like me developing melasma. I was like, my body was going through like definitely histamine response. Always been right and tight in the body, but I could start to see swelling going on that I didn't have before, and it's because I wasn't minding my electrolytes. I would tell people to do it, and then I wasn't doing it myself, and then I was having like swelling and lymphatic swelling going on, and now it's all because I'm learning every day. And plus I was doing the stuff that was oxalate rich, so with my electrolytes out of whack and me still having pretty sizable amounts of oxalate rich foods, I think it was fracking me up. Thank you, Don Jennings. Keep it up. Keep it up. With emoji. Thanks, guys. So I think I'm going to take your guys' questions. I just wanted to give you some basic information about, you've got keto flu. How do you overcome it? Overcoming the keto flu would be get your electrolytes on point: potassium, sodium, magnesium, calcium. So calcio, I think, is the fish calcium that people are, if you can't handle fish, then you can do sodium, calcium chloride in eggshells for like a minute. You can't do it very long because it's pretty toxic to the organs. I know! Or you could get it from meat broth and find different broths. So if you can't do, and it's gotta be fresh. So if you want to do meat broth from, because there's potassium in meat, but we really want to get the potassium without having to do with large, sizable. We don't want to get our potassium by having to eat this whole thing. So we make broth out of it and get more, plus the potassium that's in the meat that you eat on the plate, your 3, 4 to 5 ounces, depending if you're a man or a woman. And then with keto, it's the same, keto omnivore. And your plants for the day would be 3 cups max, like a cup per meal. But I don't even care anymore. I just do an avocado for the potassium, and like that's it. And the high fat. Just stop with the large corporations like blah, 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 blah. Yeah, stop eating from those corporations. No. Does the magnesium spray help with melasma? To some varying degree, but it's transdermal. Most of it's magnesium chloride, and it's better to get an oral magnesium like magnesium glycinate or malate. And everyone's about, what about glycinate? And I'm like, no, glycinate. Don't forget to like up the stream, guys. We've got 73 people in the house and 17 people who I appreciate. So let's get some more, because Stephanie, to help Stephanie get back in the algorithm and talk about things like histamine, how it develops. It's from a weak gut wall, how to get rid of it. You do that with diamine oxidase, either supplementation or to get real thymus and kidney. That will help you to produce DAO, right? And not just rely on like eating real thymus. It happens fast. I know somebody out there did a video about getting a lot of copper because that's going to help you with your histamine. No, it's really about the diamine oxidase enzyme that's released from the small intestine to take down histamine. And if you're not making enough diamine oxidase because you've got open holes, that's when this. It's not that histamine's bad for you. It's not being able to clear it out, right? That's the problem. Like it up. Yeah, you guys, I don't see who's liking it. I don't check to see. I'm like so busy. I'm surprised I'm even doing a live today. But I don't go and be like, okay, let me go and troll who liked me up. Thank you so much, Angie James. Thank you so much for donating to the super chat. I got that emoji too. They must have made some new emojis for the super chat. So thank you. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I would love to take your guys' questions. I just kind of wanted to hit everything, like the basic information about these 3 dietary measures. And you have to figure out which one works for you, because a lot of people go on carnivore, like their body freaks out without the fiber. So they go from a fiber diet to non-fiber diet. Then you're going to have to start looking into animal fiber. And there is animal fiber for the short term. and you're gonna have to rotate your food. Some people are just eating a bunch of beef, and then they try to go back to like, they try to go and eat like cauliflower. They're like, oh my God, I can't. I get sick. I feel horrible now. I could eat this before. Now I can't. So it's these things I'm trying to clear up with you guys. What's your thoughts on this slimic and the meat industry? You got to use special words, right? The slim emic. My thoughts on it. My thoughts are that this is what I said on my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic, and I said this today. People are so worried. Like, people get mad if you don't if you don't believe the hype, like Public Enemy once said. People get really, really mad if you don't just believe what you've been told. They get really, really mad. And I'm like, well, I'm not scared because I'm healthy. People are always asking me about, and I'm like, wow, they really got you all up in it. Like, I will not watch mainstream media ever. No. Bye. Because they will stuff your head and scare the crap out of you into your home, making you more sick and susceptible for whatever you think is susceptible. Susceptible? That's not a word. So let me get this going here. I struggle with constipation and I drink lots of water. Now, I don't know what dietary measure you're on. So people can develop constipation from candida overgrowth, and that paralyzes the muscle that squeezes out the poop. People can become constipated because of their thyroid, low T3. People can become constipated because of, let's say, taking too many supplements, or if they're taking pharmaceuticals. There's different reasons why people develop chronic constipation. And then that becomes a problem because you become super estrogen dominant, and then we've got the whole cycle of nonsense happening. Someone told me that being healthy is not enough, and therefore we need to... Dell, somebody told you something? Dell, be your own investigator and understand that our bodies are made up of cyruses. Yes, Cyrus instead of a V in front, I put an S because of the algorithms. And that we're made up of that. We have these beautifully incredible systems that fight off everything. That's why we're still alive as humans. Like, it don't matter what planet Earth throws at us, we still here. So what the frack with this all day? I can't with it. It's just, some people are so gullible. I can't. They don't use critical thinking, nor do they do research, and they still eat bad. Like, I was at the Rite Aid, which in Cali is a drugstore, and this woman is sitting there with this, asking for a pack of cigarettes, from the teller behind the counter. Can I get some cigarettes? And I was like, am I in a friggin' Twilight Zone episode? I can't with it. If anybody is worried, they need to go and get some sunshine, some vitamin D, eat the right foods that are nutrient dense. Stop doing this all day, because you're going to strip off that beautiful acid layer that protects you against pathogens, right? And don't eat a bunch of sugar, and don't do stupid stuff, and don't be stuck in. And that's how all types, and I'm not just saying what they're telling you on the news, but all types of problems that can come with bacterial or infectious type of things that can be getting on you. I'm using a bunch of code words here, you know what I mean? You'll be fine. You will be fine, right? So what do? I tell my mom, who's elderly, I tell my mom to get her butt outside and go walk and eat right. Not to sit and watch the tube all day long. God, I'm so sarcastic. I just get really frustrated when I get on that subject. I'm not scared because I'm strong and healthy. That's right, AF. Because I'm carnivore, keto over 16 months. What? Love it. See, and that's the thing. When it's so weird, when I used to open up my refrigerator, you'd open it up and there'd be like sandwiches, there'd be like bread, and I'd have orange juice, and I thought it was healthy. I'd have like orange juice and I'd have some vegetables and maybe that much meat. And I thought it was healthy. I really did, because I was never like a really big sugar eater. And now today I'm like, I can't believe I ate that cereal. Oh, I was a cereal queen. I was like eating granola cereal and I thought it was so healthy. This is where you learn so much about when you really, and I think people who eat these types of keto carnivore diets and low carb high fat, those are the ones that are woken up. So when they hear what's going on, they're not scared because they already are going against conventional wisdom with their diets, which is connected to your mind and your depression and your anxiety and your poor impulse control. These are the people that look for farms to go get their local meats and things of this nature. Let me see. Sweet bread, you guys, is great for taking down histamine. Now, how I felt that sweet bread is thymus. So thymus sits right here on the younger goat, sheep, or cow. It's unfortunately a baby cow. But what it is, it's connected to your lymphocytes and your T cells. Thank you so much, Juliet, for the 20. I really appreciate it. Because anybody who donates, first of all, I'm not asking for a donation. But when you guys do, it's because you give a shite. And that means everything to me because that's people's hard-earned money through this whole thing where people are really scared and having a difficulty earning an income. I mean, I'm freaking lucky that I got on the internet years ago. So I've always felt pretty solid. But those people who got jobs, scary, but the sweetbread. Sorry, people on the replay. So sweet bread is the thymus of a young animal, a ruminant, and it really helps to make the production of your own diamine oxidase in the small intestine to take down that histamine. And so typically it's called sweet bread. You know, Asian cultures, Latin, Mexican cultures eat sweet bread. And, you know, people like myself are now getting hip to how amazing it is because I started off with thymus supplements because you guys know I'm sponsored by Ancestral Supplements. And so I forget to talk about that too. They're great. I went on to actually start off on Amazon and I found them and then I was talking about them and then they're like, oh my God, we want to sponsor you. And I was like, okay, you're the only sponsor I want. And because this really helps people and it takes down the histamine reactions I was having. And then I found like real thymus and I was like, well, obviously that's going to work better. But I do have a code. It's Steph Keto, not on Amazon. This is through their site at ancestralsupplements.com. But always, y'all, if you really want to hit it, get the real thing. And if you have a hard time finding kidney because kidney is also really great to help with diamine oxidase production. So let's keep it rolling. Let me see, where I can order some sweet bread. Like I said, Mexican stores, Asian stores, I think Armenian, they eat it. That's where you find it. If, you know, unless you have a grass-fed. Now, I can find it everywhere. Jewish, I think that, is it Jewish states? Anyway, kosher places, I can find sweet bread in like 5 stores here, like within 2 miles of where I live. And some local farms sell thymus, but you know, there's only one thymus, I believe. So it's kind of hard to get it, especially from smaller animals because it's smaller than a cow. Yeah, been keto for 10 years, but still caught the shingles, which I was told was low immunity. So shingles comes from too much cortisol in the system. It also comes, what's immunity? The gut wall. So even though you've done keto for 10 years, most likely you haven't done it right, you haven't had enough fat, you might have eaten too much protein, you're not checking your blood sugar to see if stress or poor sleep or anything is causing any issues in the body. You know, things aren't simple, they're very complicated, but once you understand things with your own body and health, then you understand what to do. And a lot of it is experimentation because you can't just follow like the way I eat or, you know, Joe Schmo, the way they eat. You've got to go and find what is, you guys use your critical thinking, right? Well, blah, 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 ate as much meat as possible and they're shredded. And I'm like, please don't use, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm almost 53. So people are like, I'll just eat exactly the way Stephanie eats and it'll be perfect. Where other things matter, like what I'm sensitive to what I'm sensitive to is going to be different than what you're sensitive to. And my activity level or my GLUT4 receptors on my muscle can uptake and use glucose. Somebody tried to argue me online. It's like, you can't argue stupid. You just got to delete and block people. They're like, you know, he was like, it's a YouTube comment where the guy's like, you can eat a lot of protein because insulin is going to take care, so there's not going to be any like glucose response. And I'm like, swipe left, next. Like, you can't argue with people who go by what they heard. Well, I heard, and the science says. Anybody tells me what the science says, well, can you break down the science, or are you just going to tell me what the science says? You gonna break down science to me? Can you break down your own N=1 experiment with a bunch of people? So it's really tough sometimes when you guys are trying to figure out your health and you're like, okay, how much protein do I eat? How much fat? Can I have vegetables? What kind of vegetables? If I have an avocado, am I no longer carnivore? Like, what do I do with my potassium and my electrolytes? How do I get to sleep because I've got insomnia? There's a lot of things going on. Like, I'm itchy, I've got rashes, or I've got skin issues, or I've got hormonal issues, or my testosterone's too low, or I'm estrogen dominant, or my progesterone hit the floor. How do I get my progesterone up? How do I fix that gut wall? How do I avoid the Hershey squirts on carnivore, like the loose stool? How do I avoid IBS and loose stool in general? I'm chronically constipated. And people think they can just do these diets and, ooh, they're fixed. Oh, no. Because you can have like, oh, I introduced avocados. You could be like carnivore for 6 months. You add a bunch of avocados back. Now you develop a sensitivity to avocados because you're doing carnivore the wrong way. And then you're like, and the wrong way would be like super fracked up electrolytes. You're eating mono foods on carnivore. Now the gut wall's not strengthening. You add an avocado back, and then heart palps. You're like, I have heart palps from avocado. I thought it was supposed to take away heart palps. So there's a lot of misinformation there. Been keto, okay, read that. So caught the shingles. Yeah, so low immunity, that's the gut wall. Can I order some more sweet bread from Thymosin? And do you guys, I think I'm going to go soon. I'm scared because of strong health. How much and how often? Okay, so thymus is mostly fat. It's not like liver where it's like, first of all, there's no recorded vitamin A retinol toxicity from liver, except for polar bears, which we're not getting a hold of polar bears. But I say for liver, eat an ounce or 2 a day. If you can get thymus more, you can eat more. It's like mostly, it's great. It's super fatty. But I would just do an ounce and use it like a multivitamin. Same thing with the kidney. Okay, I've been keeping the same thing. I'm not used to you guys not answering more questions. Like, questions, and then it stops. Unless my phone's tripping out. Let's see here. Broccoli causes gas. So broccoli only causes gas to those who are having issues with their gut wall. You're not supposed to have a lot of gas on foods. That means your gut wall's kind of funky. We are 33 minutes. Do you guys have any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go out in style and get back to work. Unless there's something wrong with my comments, you guys put in a number 1 for me if you are still here. Put in a 1. Because never in the history of doing lives does the comment section just stop working. You guys put in number 1 for me to make sure the chat is working. Just type in 1. Boom. I think something is going off with my comment section. Now the comments are totally gone. I knew it. Well, guys, this looks like it's the perfect time to end because the comment section is completely gone. If you guys want to learn more, go to stephanieperson.com. Right down in the comment section below. Oh, the comments are totally gone. I wonder if my Wi-Fi is doing something weird. All right, guys. So I tried to take off the Wi-Fi off my phone to see if the comment section would come back, but it's not coming back, which is bizarre. It just like literally disappeared. So I'm going to end the stream and say go to stephanieperson.com if you guys want to book a consultation. Email me through the contact menu, and then also I have a course which is Stephanie Keto. No, through my website stephanieperson.com. I keep tripping on the comment section, and I teach all these things with all three diets: keto, carnivore, and low carb, high fat. Or you can go to my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic. Or you can go to my my Facebook, which is Stephanie the Business Person, as in the business and all this kind of stuff. And because I can't see the comment section anymore, it just started like disappearing. Now it's gone. Sorry, guys. Thank you so much for today's stream. I've done keto for 12 years and counting. I got some energy at almost 53. Because I got to do that still, because I used to do it in my old videos where people thought I was ditzy. And I'm out. Deuces.